Happy New Year, friends. We are out here first of the year in the muck and the mire. It's a relatively warm day. I think in the moment it's sort of like the high 40s, maybe the low 50s. And it is time for my fine feathered friends here that you can see just a few of them. These are my Dominiques that I have had in my garden, which is in this area in through here. And we have, let's see if I can move the camera over, that is my chicken run and the coop that is connected to my garden. And I use this setup so that after the garden is pretty much done for its growing season, instead of letting the chickens come out the little pop door, I open my access door and I let them have full range of the garden, and they till everything up and they eat the rest of my leftover vegetables and they poop on everything, and it does a really good job for the fertilization of everything. If you can see the difference, I don't know how well it's going to translate in the video, but where the chickens are is beautiful dark black soil versus all this garbage here is what we've been dealing with our drainage situation, which has improved, but it's still not right. And even if it was right, we never got a chance to put grass down and straw down, but we didn't put that down because it's still not right. So it's far too wet. We can't do anything with it. So what we're doing is just waiting, because I don't know. People say it is not normally very wet here, but in the 5 years that we've lived here, it's very wet. It is as wet. You know, in Florida we had something like, I think 56 inches of rain a year annually, the average, and here it's like 53 inches. And I'd say we have had the last, I'm not sure how many years, it's been like 70, 80, 90 inches a year. It's crazy how much rain we've had. So the drainage becomes a really big deal. Anywhere it should be a big deal, but when you have that level of rain, and oftentimes it's in very short periods, and the hills and everything, it's a big deal. So what we're gonna do today is release the beasts. It's overcast. I don't know. I see a little bit of blue sky over there, so maybe the clouds will break free a little bit, but I'm gonna do some work out here, kind of monitor the chickens as they are truly going to be out here free ranging. We will see how this all goes, because we've seen evidence of foxes locally. We came across a dog just a couple days ago. It was a husky. There's obviously aerial predators, hawks and those kinds of things, coyotes. Everything loves chickens, and so some of these chickens are new. They're young. They don't have the experience. They don't have the savviness. The older hens will probably know a little bit more and better what to do, if you will. But we'll have to just see how this all goes. And chickens pretty much go everywhere. We have some plastic down, and I don't know if that will end up being a good thing or a bad thing for chickendom. If they start picking the plastic, that obviously won't be good. So anyway, this is what we're doing today. I'll take some video of some other stuff that I'll be doing. You can see how things are progressing, because one of the things I'm going to be doing is, there's really not a lot. There's actually mulch, wood chips that we have put down in the garden, but a lot of that has decomposed, so it looks pretty much just like soil. So I have some bales of straw, and I'm going to put the straw down for the rest of the season, and by springtime it'll all pretty much be rotted and gone. But as I'm working on it, I'll pop in and give you some updates and stuff. My little scarecrow is looking sad, so we're gonna have to redo a few things. All right, on to the next. Non-dominant rooster and the dominant rooster out there. All the chickens, I just opened the door, all the chickens pretty much like, yeah, I'm out. I am so not hanging out here. And little non-dominant boy is trying to figure out what he wants to do, because he sees them, but he's probably not going to be too happy once they get too far away. Even though he's not dominant, he's a flock. He wants to flock up, so he'll figure it out. They'll probably be going through the little door in a minute. The chickens are, this is always a favorite area for them. They've always liked going up on that hill, all kinds of bugs and whatever. Obviously just fresh ground. They need to have stuff where things are fresh. That little hen down there is the one that got attacked by the original rooster. She's very inexperienced. She don't know what she's doing. She sees them. It's like she can't figure out how the heck to get up the hill. And these are the things like with having chickens that are kind of like fun to watch them because they don't, you know, they're learning. They're like little kids sometimes, you know. And she does that. She is definitely buddied up with this rooster right here who's sticking next to me. And she will want to come back, I have a feeling, and be with him. So unfortunately, this little hen or the rooster may be our first victims. And it's a shame because this little hen right here is, she's very sweet. But we'll see what happens. You know, I have to remember she's a chicken. She's not my dog. She's not my child, whatever, you know, and they're resilient. They're smart in their own way. They need to be able to figure out how to survive. And the one nice thing about the Dominique breed is that they are very good foragers. And the dominant rooster up there has had a pretty good, he's been developing his eye, keeping his eye out for things, doing what roosters do, you know, setting himself up on a high position and looking for everything. And so these are all good things. She just decided to fly for a minute. So I don't know what that was. She's not liking it apparently, but we'll keep going. Force the rooster out so that he's now with his little buddy, and we'll see how this goes, because these two will probably pair up, but hopefully they will stick close enough to the overall flock so that they're not really separated. But this is going to be, unfortunately, where the rubber meets the road. And it's funny too, because now you can kind of see, especially when they're getting a little bit further into the woods, they are camouflaged. They are really camouflaged. When they're in the woods like that, they become difficult to see from any kind of a distance. But obviously when they're on the mud like that, it is very easy to see them. So we'll be out here monitoring them. This is what the sky looks like. The beehives are doing all right. I just fed them the other day. They had already eaten down one of the big patties I put in there, and they have stores. They have the top box there is a honey super that was slap full of all of their honey and stuff. So they're good. They should be set well for food. I don't expect these two hives to have any issues, although you never know. And then I have my orange hive over here, which is smaller, but more aggressive, interestingly enough. So we will see how these ones pan out. They're being fed. They have a moisture board. All my hives have moisture boards on them, which make a big difference. I've got my Beetle Buster base boards, which are amazing. I really recommend everybody who's a beekeeper to have them. They are expensive, but let me tell you something, they work. And when you go through all the pain and aggravation of having a beehive, you really want them to survive. This crazy thing is a pollen distributor or a pollen feeder. You put pollen in the top. I ended up putting aluminum foil because there was some gaps. Bees were getting up the top and getting caught in the tube in here. So they're supposed to go into the little holes, and there is pollen. It's hard to see because it's like it kind of actually goes up and then it comes down, so it's kind of actually hard to see. It's a weatherproofing thing that they have. There's little flies in there, but the honeybees will all go in there, and it is buzzing when it's a good weather day. We'll see if maybe once the sun comes out, the honeybees will come out. Inside my chicken coop, you can see how the roosts actually, how the roosts go, that area right there with all the feathers, I still have one hen, and she's actually in here. She's molting. It's January. Why the hell is she molting in January? I have no idea, but she's molting. So the pine shavings are getting pretty thin. You can see that by the door. So I'm just basically going to clean everything out, put it into my tub here, and then all of that is going to go out into the garden. There's my droppings board. It looks pretty nasty, but it's all right. I scraped everything down. As you can see, unfortunately, in my run, it's muddy. This has been a chronic problem. This was always a low area. It is not a low area anymore. We have put a bunch of mulch. You can see some of the mulch in that back corner over there that hasn't completely broken down, but everything here has completely broken down. We put like a foot of mulch in, okay? So it's now dirt. But the issue is we need a proper covering. I have a sunshade, but it's chicken wire. It doesn't provide any kind of dry. And we are going to get like one of those little handy ports to put over this so that the run will stay dry. I have a little greenhouse that I've used in here. I put my grandpa's feeder in it. It keeps the grandpa's feeder basically dry. And I can store some things on the shelves. But other than that, it really doesn't do anything. And this thing is already starting to get sun degraded. I've got a smaller grandpa's feeder and all this plastic because we had so many really high wind days and stuff, and the chickens were stuck out here. They had no place to actually get shelter from the wind. So we put up this plastic and it works pretty good. Eventually, when we get the handy port up and we reconfigure all of this, I hope A, it will be drier, and then B, we can do something similar with plastic or whatever to provide some areas where they're out of the wind. But what was happening is that most of them actually just went inside the coop and they roosted up in the coop on really windy days. A good three of them at least. They would come in and take breaks. So it is what it is. You just have to remember, you do your best, and sometimes your best is not it, but you just keep working at it, and eventually you'll get better. The chickens, I hear them. Let's do a check. They're over there. I don't know if we can actually get to focus on them. Got one coming down the hill, reuniting with the rest of them that are out there. So they're definitely working their way through and around, and this is what they should be doing. We got the one rooster. Where is he? You can see him. There he is. He's coming down, but he's lagging behind. He's keeping at a distance because he gets his butt kicked by the other rooster. So eventually these two might fight to the death, but they were kind of like litter mates, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm hoping that two roosters will be more protective than just one out in the big woods. Bale. I'm gonna have to get more, but basically you see what I've got. We've got the two stragglers over there, and unfortunately the straw is not put down very thick, but I'm just trying to get a layer down at the moment, and I'll probably only be able to get half, maybe 3/4 of it down. This little island thing I have here is some sunchokes that will come up again next year. Funny thing is my little chickens are, well, I guess you figured out a way to get through. We'll see if Big Boy here can get through too. He's not quite so familiar with that, but he's gonna bust through. I shall not be denied from my lady. But anyway, chickens have made a circuit. Some of them are back in the run. One has come out to see what's going on, and we actually have sunlight, which is amazing after like 2 days of rain and muck. So the bees will probably be out soon once the sunshine warms up the hives a little bit, and we'll just keep plugging along. I don't want to get too close to it because obviously this is a high traffic area, but if you can kind of see in there, the honeybees are all over this. They're flying all around it. They're They're going in and out of the little holes, and they're all up inside in there, getting back to where the pollen is. I hear one buzzing. Somebody's probably stuck somewhere. But they're getting in there and they're getting pollen, and they are foraging, even though there's really nothing to forage. Just kind of gives them something to do. I've actually been out here where this thing is absolutely mobbed. There are bees all over it. So it's definitely a high traffic area. Figure out where you want to put it and make sure it's not in a, near your house or a footpath area. This is in my garden, so for the most part we're not out here, other than when I'm doing some gardening stuff, and I tend to do it in the morning. And we are now approaching afternoon, so they're usually more late rising bees in the wintertime. With the hay bales, or this is actually a straw bale, they're usually got these synthetic bindings on them, and I usually use this thing. It's called it's a Japanese called hori hori, which means dig dig. These things are great in the garden, and they've got measurements on it and stuff, so you can see how deep you're going to go. But what I usually do, and you'll see what happens, is you can just kind of go in there and it pops, right? The first time I used this, and then I got the first one and it, decompresses a little bit. The second time when I did this, or the very first time I did it, but the second string, see how much more it pops. It ended up, I had my finger in the way, and the smooth side of the blade ended up hitting my index finger. Man, it sliced me down to the bone. So if you use one of the things, these are great. Gloves, though, are pretty much required. So just be aware of that, how super sharp this is. Collection here. The rooster is climbing the hill, and oh, he's down. And I got 3 hens that are basically pecking, and they have a dry little section of the hill, and they're trying to dust bathe. One of them rolled down the side of the wall there a minute ago. Rooster's still trying to figure out what he's doing. Another hen is coming to join everybody because she wants to get on the dust bathing action. We've got other hens over here, and the little youngest one over here trying to figure out what in the world's going on. But this was an area where the flock, when we had the old rooster, he used to take them all up on that hill, back up and through there quite a lot. They had cleared out a lot of the underbrush. They were not quite as good as goats, but pretty good. I want to show you is my water cube setup. This is our well house. We put a gutter on it, and we got one of those ICB totes. Very common, fairly easy to get, I think, in most places. And then we just took some old lumber and made a platform for it so that you can get some height, which will give you better pressure, so that when you need to have water, it'll go farther. And the situation that we have right now with this is, even though it's frozen a couple times, it hasn't busted anything. But we use this for our humidifiers in the winter, because even though it's very humid in the summer, in the winter, when you have the heat on and everything, a lot of times you got to put moisture back into the air. So this is pure water. It's not, the well water, which has got some minerals and stuff, which will clog up most of the filters. You got to have stuff that is clear and clean and doesn't have all those minerals in it. So we harvest rainwater, plus we use this for the garden. I will burn through this whole tote, 275 gallons when it's full, and it's like super hot in the summer. I will go through all of this within a few days, honestly. You use a lot of water when you have a garden, so something you may want to think about and consider. So I have my little water cube, and what I'm basically going to do, if I can do this with one hand, this is the end of for a hose, but it fits on this nipple. So I'm just gonna open this, and I'm not gonna open it a lot. And I'm gonna try and balance it one-handed, which is always gonna be interesting. And it probably won't work so well. I'll probably get it all over myself. But just open it so I can get some control. And if I open it up too much, it'll probably spray everywhere. But that way, when it's close to being filled, I can shut it off real quick and then swap it out for the other one that I have here. But that's about what I got going on for you guys today. And remember, y'all are the gold.